Summer Games Fest 2025 took place last night on the 6th of June. Geoff opened the show by spotlighting the significance of smaller developers by pointing to games like Repo and Clair Obscur Expedition 33. While this statement is very important, it also set the stage for what this year's SGF was gonna be. This was a 2-hour show and there were several ads, so I'm just gonna pick and choose what some of my highlights were. Mortal Shell 2 opened the show. This is a sequel to the 2020 gritty Souls-like. The niche mechanic in this game was that you are an entity without a shell, and the shell, or body, you inhabit will be the class you can fight as. Initial death would see this entity dispelled from the shell, and you could have a second chance if you could find your way back to it. It also had a really fun harden mechanic which allowed you to harden and deflect a hit even if you were mid-combo. This was the main thing I loved about the original. Mortal Shell was a fairly small game and lacked a lot of detail when it came to weapon and class upgrades. Developer Cold Symmetry have said that both of these areas will be refined and expanded upon in the sequel. Speaking of Souls-like, there were a large amount of them in this show. The likes of Code Vein and Wu Chang Fallen Feathers led the charge here, but sadly a lot of them just blended into each other. One that I absolutely did not forget though was Lies of P Overture. Overture is the DLC to one of my favorite games of 2023. It focuses as a prequel to the main game that led up to the events you see in Craft. There have been several previews of this DLC over the last month and all of them have been glowing. They have added several new weapons which look fantastic and I can't wait to try them as the weapon crafting in this game is exceptional. What made Lies of P stand out against the sea of Souls-likes when it released was the tight combat and deflect mechanics, which made every single fight, especially the bosses, feel the closest we've ever been to From Software. The best thing about it is that it is available right now. Everybody loves a shadow drop. I will have a review coming for this in the next week or so. There are a handful of smaller games that I really want to bring attention to as these are now really high on my wish list. Mouse PI for Hire is a game that continues to impress on every single showing. The art style is so unique and I love the animations for the weapons. This game comes later in 2025 with still no exact release date, but it popped up here to announce that the main character is voiced by industry legend Troy Baker. Mina The Hollower from the developers of Shovel Knight has shot right up near the top of my most wanted list. This beautiful pixel art action adventure game looks like the real deal in combat and traversal, redefining the 8-bit era in the modern day. This got an October 31st release date and everyone loves gaming during spooky season. I have been getting really into the couch co-op genre with my partner in the last year with games like It Takes Two, Split Fiction, Unravel, and most recently Mario Kart World. Another game that is going to fill this increasingly popular genre is Out of Words. The whole world is handcrafted and the characters are puppets in a stop-motion animation style. It looks wholesome, it looks fun, and it looks like a love letter to co-op gaming. You'll be able to jump into this platformer with a friend in 2026. Last in this smaller game spotlight section is Into the Unwell. This is a roguelite animated in a cartoony style. The trailer focuses very heavily on this world being dark and twisted with your character being unwell. This sickness is due to vices, addictions, mental health, and everything in between. It struck me as that adult version of Alice in Wonderland where everyone around you is disturbed and you struggle to find your own way through and get some self-control. There is a closed beta coming to Steam soon for this one with no official release date yet. Keeping with the disturbing was this next game by new studio Team Clout. This is a game that some people thought was fake, but this new trailer was horrifyingly real. Ill is a photorealistic first-person survival horror game, and holy shit, it looked disgusting. There was a lot of attention given to the body horror and dismemberment of the several monstrous creatures that popped up. It was like Resident Evil and Scorn had a baby. The description from the Steam page reads as follows: a realistic first-person action horror game that takes you into a dark fort overtaken by a mysterious entity. Unpredictable monsters, a visceral dismemberment system, and realistic physics create an atmosphere of relentless terror. This game may be a ways away though, as we got no hint of a release window. Moving on from Ill, with quite a contrast, is my personal game of the show, Mixtape. Developed by Beethoven and Dinosaur and published by Annapurna, Mixtape is a game that looks to fill that narrative Life is Strange shaped hole in my heart. It is set in the summer during the last night of high school for a group of friends. It has a very 80s feel and the soundtrack for this game looks phenomenal. I suppose it is called Mixtape after all. To give a brief description from Annapurna's website to give you more of an idea of what this game is, it says, Mixtape draws inspiration from classic coming-of-age movies, bringing together nostalgic aimlessness, mischief, music, the highs and lows of adolescence, and the bittersweet feelings brought about by growth, transformation, and moving on. Featuring music from Devo, Roxy Music, Lush, The Smashing Pumpkins, Iggy Pop, Susie and the Banshees, Joy Division, and many more. Skate, party, avoid the law. Make out, sneak out, hang out. It killed me that this still has no official release date, but they are still saying 2025. Even though the theme of this year's SGF was smaller games and smaller teams, it wasn't absent of a few big hitters. The first of these was a sequel to a game that I didn't expect to get one. Atomic Heart 2 from Munfish seems like a much larger scope than the original. I enjoyed Atomic Heart but didn't think it was incredible. It is an immersive sim in a semi-Bioshock coat. This trailer did show a lot of increased maneuverability as well as new powers which could bring it closer to the great immersive sims of the genre like the aforementioned Bioshock and Dishonored, but I'm still not fully sold. The trailer did also seem to imply that this title may be open world or at least open zone, and one of the things I noticed was that it seemed to have a lot more human interaction, something that the first game was lacking. We'll have to see how the sequel is received next year in 2026. Next was another look at RGG's Project Sentry, which was revealed at the Game Awards in December. This game looks awesome and I am definitely keeping a close eye on it. The first reveal was set in 1915, whilst this trailer is set in 1943 and seemingly with a different character. This could imply playing multiple stories throughout the game, which would be a nice twist seeing the different eras of Japan as you brutally fight your way through the scum of the streets. Project Sentry was also revealed to be the codename as the official title was shown to be Stranger Than Heaven. This one is targeting a 2026 release. And then lastly, after a horribly placed tease earlier in the night I don't think anybody thought was funny, to close out the show, and to be honest, save it a little, Capcom showed up with Resident Evil 9. This was only a cinematic reveal and we didn't see any of the gameplay, so we don't know if they will be returning to third person or sticking with first person, but we did learn a few things. First is that we will be playing as brand new character Grace Ashcroft, who many have assumed will have some relation to Alyssa Ashcroft from the Resident Evil Outbreak games. Second is that she seems to be returning to a destroyed Raccoon City, which would mean it takes place after the events of Resident Evil 2 and 3. This could work with the rumors that said Capcom were looking for this to be an open world Resident Evil. Perhaps we can explore the whole of Raccoon City as one big open zone. The last thing we got was the release date of February 27th, 2026, and the official name of Resident Evil Requiem. This game is only 8 months away, so I'm sure we'll see a lot more of it before the year is over. Those were my highlights from this year's Summer Games Fest. Let me know in the comments below of any games that you thought were good. As for the show as a whole, honestly, I was disappointed. In my personal opinion, Geoff went from his best show with the Game Awards in December to his worst show in just 6 months. I understand and agree with the importance of showing smaller games, but the structure of the show was really bad. Perhaps spend a little more time saying why these games are really great, and a little less time with Kojima saying nothing, and a spokesperson for Splitgate 2 spouting nonsense. That being said, I do hope I managed to spotlight some of these smaller games that I like the look of and add them to your wish list. The summer showcase continues on, and Xbox's big show is tomorrow, so keep an eye out for my breakdown of that, but also keep an eye out for my review of Despelote, which will be uploaded shortly. If you enjoyed this content, please leave a like and subscribe, or if you didn't enjoy it, please leave a thumbs down and I will try to be better next time. I hope you keep enjoying the summer showcase season, but for everything else, casual gamer, keep it here. Peace and love.